Hey there, welcome back to my channel, String Things by Mel. My name is Melissa. I'm a stay-at-home mom living in Vancouver, Canada, and on my channel I chat and share everything about my knitting hobby. This is episode 19 of the String Things podcast. I release an episode once a month, and in between I have some other content, vlogs, performance reviews, really whatever just comes up. At this point, I don't plan ahead or think about what I'm going to be doing even next week. So it's really just kind of spontaneous and how I am feeling. Yeah, so as I said, this is podcast episode 19. It's now September and it is the last few days of summer. So I am one of those people who still enjoys summer right up to the first day of fall. September is also one of my favorite months in Vancouver specifically. Sorry, my cat is having a little scratching session right now. See, here he is. Hey, bud. Yeah, okay. September is back to school month. And usually that feeling of back to school doesn't quite hit me. You know, I'm not a student, but Darcy has started preschool. So I feel like I'm part of the back to school season, back to school crew. She goes there 3 days a week. So then I get a little bit of alone time, which has been really nice, especially since she has dropped her nap. It's been a real adjustment, mostly for me. She's totally fine. But not having that midday break, I realized how much I need that break for mostly my sanity. Not that she's crazy or out of control. I realized that a couple hours of time to mentally recuperate, recover from the morning or day's activities is something I was definitely missing, and I'm glad to have a little bit of that back. Now, September, again, why do I really like September? It's, well, one, not allergy season, but it's the weather's still nice. We still have warm weather. I'm very lucky that I can even wear this sweater right now because it happens to be a slightly cool day. The sun's coming out. I have a feeling it's going to warm up. But yeah, it's mornings where it's cool enough to wear a sweater, but then by 11 o'clock, you're sweating that in that sweater and it's time to put on a tank top again. But then I get to wear a tank top and jeans, which is one of my favorite outfits to wear. And September is also the month I got married. Today is actually my 4th wedding anniversary. Yay! So I have dinner planned. And I'm making dinner and I bought some yummy dessert from Thierry, which is a little French cafe down the road from us. And it's also my husband's birthday next week. And so we will have family dinner on the weekend, celebrate 3 birthdays. So my husband has a twin sister. So of course it's her birthday next week too. And then 2 days after their birthday is my father-in-law's birthday. And then my sister-in-law's actually due second child late next week as well. So soon we'll be celebrating 4 birthdays every September. So just all around very exciting. So, all right, that was a lot more preamble that I probably needed. But so let's get on with it. I am wearing one of my finished objects. It is the Elizabeth blouse, which is a PetiteKnit pattern. I made mine in a very different yarn to the recommended yarn. I actually can't even remember what the recommended yarn was. But I also decided to knit a size up because I was looking at the other projects on Ravelry, people who knit based on like the recommended ease or size, and there wasn't the look I was going for. My goal was more like relaxed boyfriend vibes is what I was trying to achieve, and I think I did. So yeah, mine's boxy, but the sleeves aren't oversized, and that's important. I've got them rolled up right now because it is, I'm starting to heat up in this. So we'll see if I can make it through the entire podcast wearing this sweater, because I also have a long sleeve underneath because it was chilly enough. I walked Darcy to my sister's this morning. So the yarn I used is, unfortunately, if you are interested in this yarn, it's not something that's regularly offered. It's kind of from like one-offs, odds and ends from Custom Woolen Mills. I purchased 2 of these cones because there were 2 available. I'm kind of impulsive like that. I just do that. I'm kind of regretting buying 2 cones because I don't know what I'm gonna do with the other cone. But this is a 2-ply. It's an alpaca wool nylon blend, and it's quite like kind of hairy, and it's kind of more like a warm gray. It's a little bit hard to tell, especially because I have got gray walls behind me, but it is a warm gray, and it's got black, and it's got a little bit of a brown in it. It's actually the exact same colors as my cat. If there was a yarn that could represent my cat, this is exactly it. And I also say that because when I cast this blouse off, I had it just sitting on out for a few days, and my cat was actually sleeping on top of it, and I could really only tell he was sleeping on it because there was, very clear cat-sized depression in the sweater, and then I'd have to look very carefully, very closely to see if and like distinguish between the fiber from the yarn and his fur. But yeah, I did mention when I started this blouse that I kind of did like a prickle test, and I wore my swatch in the back of my neck for a while, and like at that time it was still prickly, like there's a texture to it when wearing it, but it turns out I'm a little bit more sensitive with the prickliness in like this area here. So wearing a shirt underneath allows me to be more tolerable of the prickliness of, I hate to say it, it's kind of scratchy. Will it soften up over time? I'm not sure, but I hope so, because I am having some concerns about how many times I'll be able to wear this just based off, how this feels on my skin. Around my neck, it seems to be okay. It's also the collar sits away from my neck. So this yarn has some structure to it, which is actually good because then the collar, like, it sits where it needs to sit, but also I have a modification that I did, which I'll get to, on why my collar is sitting so nicely. So I made the second size, and modifications I did were for the cuffs and the end of the body. So the pattern has you do 1x1 ribbing. I decided to do fold over hems, so I knit to my preferred length, switched to a smaller needle, knit about 1 inch, did a purl row, did some more stockinette, and then sewed in the end, and same thing for the end of the body. I just wanted something a bit more clean looking. Not that ribbing can't look clean, but I wanted this, even though it's like a boyfriend relaxed fit, I wanted to elevate the look of it. And then my other modification was to the collar. So I found that the collar would sit kind of like this, and it was giving me too much Saturday Night Fever vibes. So what I did was I used some of my clear knitting elastic, which is this product here. You probably can't really see, but it's a very thin strand of lycra, and it's actually called knitting elastic. So I anchored it on one end, put it through on the wrong side of the collar all the way around, and then anchored it on this side and pulled it just ever so gently, just to cinch in the fabric just a bit, but not enough to cause like puckering. So the fabric still looks like relatively clean in there. And then the knitting elastic itself is pretty invisible. So, and now my collar just sits there, almost closed. And that does also help too, because it's quite, because I went for a size up. Sorry, this thing sheds a lot. There's fibers. The opening, it goes pretty deep. So I am wearing a V-neck underneath just to also help illustrate how deep the opening is. So the V-neck I'm wearing is relatively deep. It's, if you've made the Cumulus blouse, the V-neck one from PetiteKnit, it's, you know, roughly around there. But you can see, like, here's my collarbones and everything. The opening, like my breastbone is like here. So it's a pretty deep opening. So whenever I wear this, I like bare minimum have a camisole underneath just for a little bit of modesty. Yeah, but if this was a softer yarn, then I would maybe even do this without a cami underneath. Say if I was doing like pub drinks or something, I can show off a little bit of cleavage, even though I don't really have much cleavage, but you know, a girl tries. Yeah, so we'll see how I feel after wearing this more. Maybe I'll try washing it again. But if you guys have any tips or suggestions on perhaps how I can make this softer, it is non-superwash. Maybe it's one of those things just as after a lot more wears or more time, it will soften up. I'm not sure. If you guys have purchased yarn from Custom Woolen Mills before, again, this is not like one of their typical lineups anyways. Let me know. Do rustic yarns really soften up over time, or do they stay really rustic? One tip on working with a yarn like this. So it is a 2-ply, but like the fabric itself is strong, but when I was sewing in my fold over hem on the sleeves, I noticed like this yarn breaks really easily. But then it also splices really easily as well. And when the way I sew in my fold over hem, you need about 4 times the circumference of yarn to complete that. And you can imagine the body circumference, like 4 times that, and pulling that through all the stitches over and over again, like breakage. So what I did was just have a shorter length and then work that, and then splice on some more and work that. And that was fine. And that was way more manageable as well. Okay, so that's my first finished object. I almost kind of forgot about this one because I had done like 5 other objects after this. I won't be talking about my summer knits because those appear in a separate video called Wool for the Summer, ? Some performance reviews. Those are all tops, 3 tops that I made out of Hobbii yarn. Yeah, and now I have to, sorry, I injured my eye on Friday, so it's swollen, and I think on camera it doesn't look too bad today, but all weekend it was visibly very swollen and puffy, like other than, like, it wasn't colored like I had a black eye, but it looked like I've been hit in the face. And I'm pretty sure it happened when I was cleaning my bathroom on Friday, and we have mirrored doors all across one wall in our bathroom. And I bent down to pick something up by the toilet, and when I came up, I forgot one of the doors was open, and I came up into the corner of the door, like banged my head on it, and I guess I must have hit my eye on there as well, but I was so focused on my head that I didn't even feel it in my eye right away. But by Friday afternoon, my eye was starting to get puffier, and Saturday, Sunday was quite swollen, and I was really self-conscious about it, and I almost didn't want to go out, but you know, I can't let something like that stop me from spending time with my family. And then I also thought, well, I don't want this to stop me from making YouTube content, so I might kind of like do this every once in a while because it's still swollen and it actually like rubs on my eye. So Maybe you don't notice it, but I can feel it. Okay, so let's move on to my next finished object, which is something I do have a separate video for, but of course I'm going to show you guys, and it is my Audrey top, but a dress. So if you've seen the video, or if you haven't seen the video, this is a midi length dress I created in 8 days to wear at a Beyonce concert. So this does go past my knees, about like a couple inches past my knees. This was a complete spontaneous project. It started out as making a more like open stitch tank top, changed my mind, and decided I wanted to wear a dress. So I used the Audrey top pattern from PetiteKnit, and I cast on the smallest size, which I believe it's extra small. And I did a provisional cast on so that I worked the top and then could just do rounds around the stockinette to work at the bottom. So I highly recommend you watch that video for all the details of how I did my shaping and like my modifications, because I've already said it once in that video and probably said it better than me trying to say it really quickly now. There is a timestamp for that kind of information in the video, so feel free to skip to that part if you don't want to watch the whole vlog daily progress part of it. But I used 8 balls of Knitting for Olive pure silk in the color Haze. So that's 400 grams of, it's a fingering weight yarn. And surprisingly didn't mind, like I actually enjoyed knitting this up. I mean, it's just stockinette, so it was not too labor intensive in terms of like mentally and physically, other than the physical part of me trying to knit a lot in a short amount of time. I don't normally knit at that pace. I probably average only about 2 to maybe 3 hours a day, and I was pushing like 4 hours every day to get this done. But I'm really happy with how it turned out, and I'm really glad I did it because I found a style of dress that I really like, but it's, you know, modest in the front, but because of the shaping I've done, I feel a bit sexy in it. Color wise, I actually don't mind the color. I thought it would look like not so great with my skin tone, but I'm still tan right now, so it does work. And I plan on wearing this next week when we go out for dinner for my husband's birthday. I guess weather dependent, but yeah, I really want to wear this again. So the only thing I have done kind of new since releasing that video, something I mentioned was about the stretching of the dress and in the straps. So I've already put some elastic right into the straps and into the underarm area. So I started in the center of the underarm. So these are all my decreases that I did for my shaping. So there's a bit of like a selvage edge from how this top is constructed. So I started on one end and just kind of like up and down through the stitches, directly through the middle of the I-cord strap, and then down around to the other side, and tied a knot and left the tail long. And you can see I left the elastic in there. And I decided to not use the clear elastic, and I've used elastic thread, which is the type of thread if you're doing shirring on machine sewing. It's the elastic that you actually wind up on your bobbin and run it through the machine. I did this because I thought maybe it'd be stronger. I did no research, so do not quote me on this. I did no research on whether like what's stronger than the other, but I decided to use this elastic because I have it to try it out, and I just held it, you know, single all the way through. And if it turns out to be a poor decision, then I will use the knitting elastic. it's not a woolly yarn, so it's not gonna get like trapped when like the fibers felt together or anything. So I can easily remove it and put in something else if it doesn't work. But since adding in the elastic, I did try it on before I like secured and tied the knots. I tried it on and kind of pulled the thread kind of into position, and I've got it back into the original position when the underarm is like definitely covering the side of my bra, because that was a concern for me. I didn't want to be flush on the side of my bra. So when it's laying flat, it does look a little bit scrunch, but then when I wear it, it does like kind of like stretch out into the correct position, and it looks just as good as when I first cast it off. So I will keep you guys updated about if this stretches more with more wears. I suspect it will, but we'll see. So maybe next year this will be part of a performance review. That is all the finished objects I have to share today. Let's get into the whips. So the first whip I'm going to share is something I was very excited to cast on, also because I am part of the test group for Laura Penrose's design, the Sibling sweater my size. Now she usually has kind of like a private pool of people that she has to test for her. However, this time she opened it up because she was just looking for some new testers and some other sizes to fill. And she had put on her Instagram that she was looking for testers for the larger sizes. So I decided to go ahead and apply, and thought this would be a great opportunity to do a gift knit. So I am making this sibling sweater my size for one of my siblings. And I think it's going to be pretty obvious. Sister, yes, this is for you. I don't know if she actually watches them as soon as my videos are released, but she does watch my videos. But anyways, it's not something I'm going to wait till Christmas to give to my sister. Like as soon as it's done and blocked and ready, like she's getting it. So I am knitting size 5, which has a finished circumference of 51 3/4 inches. I don't know what that is in centimeters. Yeah, I'm not even gonna try to do that in my head. If I were to try to wear this size, that would give me about 20 inches of positive ease. So the pattern is offered in 10 sizes. I'm pretty sure it's going to be still 10 sizes after the test. And it's going along great. I am working on the ribbing on the body, and which after that I will work on the collar, and then it's on to the sleeves. I'm very excited to get to the collar and then onto the sleeves. I actually really enjoy doing the sleeves. I don't get sleeve island syndrome really. Like the sleeves go quick for me. I don't want to say like manic state, but sleeves I just, you know, round and round, and you have your decreases and it gets quicker and quicker. So yeah, I look forward to the sleeves. Sometimes I will, if I'm working on top down sweater and the ball has run out partway through the body, I will go do the sleeves. So yeah, I'm working on the ribbing for the body. I'm almost done. I think I have 2 more rounds before I bind off, so very close. It's got this beautiful shoulder detail. We've been told all these kind of like puckering blocks out, so pretty sure it's going to be fine. I'm using a Superwash yarn just so it's easier for my sister to care for, and it is a yarn I haven't used before, but I am really enjoying it. And it is Cascade 220 Superwash Merino. So not just Superwash, Superwash Merino, because my sister deserves the nice stuff. Yeah, let me grab the skeins from you. Sorry, I've got everything's in a box here. Not very organized, but here we go. So I purchased all this yarn from Yarn Canada. They have a really decent selection of Cascade yarn, and shipping to me is very quick because it comes from Calgary, Edmonton. It comes from Alberta. So it's very quick, and I thought it was interesting though that, so this is cream and it says made in Turkey, and the ash rose says made in China. And then the skeins look like they're different sizes, but they are the same yardage. So I don't know what that is. Maybe they're produced in different mills or something. I don't know. But yeah, so cream and ash rose, they are very soft. I have really enjoyed working with this yarn. And from my swatch, I mean, it's hard to say because the swatch is so small compared to a full garment. It's like it blocks out, like not, it doesn't have any extreme stretch to it or anything. We'll see what happens when I wash and block the finished garment. But I like this yarn so much that I'm going to use this yarn for a sweet shop blanket, which is another one of Laura's designs that she recently released. And so I am very patiently waiting until I'm done this sweater to order more of this cream yarn, because whatever's left over, that means, you know, less additional skeins I have to buy, because I've decided that this cream yarn is going to be the main color for my blanket. And if there's anything left of the ash rose, that will get incorporated into the blanket as well, because this fits into the color palette that I have planned for this blanket. I am planning to make the largest size, which is a throw size. And so I think that's like, it's over 90 squares to make, but I think it will go by quick because they're not very large squares. But I'm very excited to have that as my winter project. So, and I've already purchased some other minis to incorporate into this blanket. So I will show you guys that because I have some acquisitions to share in a few minutes. So yes, this is the yarn I'm using. Again, cream and ash rose. The yarn quantity that I purchased, you know, because it's in testing, I don't know if it's going to be bang on or if I'm going to even have a full skein left over. I purchased an extra skein, I think, of each color, but we'll see. I'm really hoping that I do have some of like extra cream just to help me with the costs, but it's okay. I want this blanket to be kind of like heirloom blanket. Like if I'm going to put in so much time to knit a blanket, I want it to be just so nice, and it's going to replace, like, be the new blanket in Darcy's room for her bed, and also for us to use when we're getting cozy on the couch, because Darcy really likes sitting cozying up in a blanket on the couch. So I'm looking forward to that, and especially if my husband's working late or if he's gone for work, and we can sit on the couch and have little movie nights together. Like, yeah, fun times. So yeah, that's my sibling sweater. My size was sibling for my sibling. So the next whip I have is something I've been talking about since I purchased the yarn for it. And guys, I did indeed finally cast on my Moby sweater, but it's on hold because I'm working on my sibling sweater test. So I have here 1 ball's worth of work, because once I hit the end of a ball, that's when I decided that I'm going to work exclusively or monogamously on my sibling sweater. But this is the start of the back panel. I have here the Sandnes Garn Pure Gynt, the Marzipan Tutti Frutti Tweed, and yeah, this stitch pattern is as intuitive as I remember it being when I made Darcy's Moby sweater. So very excited to get this knit up and match Darcy this winter. I think this is going to be like our Christmas sweaters. Will I make one for my husband? Most likely not. He doesn't wear cabled sweaters, so he's not part of this Moby team, I guess. But I really like how the color, would you call this warm? But I wanted a light color, but I didn't want like white. And I didn't want off-white. And then I wanted like some more interest in it. So when I found, or when like the Tutti Frutti yarn came out, I just thought, oh, that is perfect. That is what I want for my Moby sweater. And then it kind of matches Darcy's because hers has little like flecks of colors as well. Hers looks a bit tweedy as well. This pure Gynt is 100% Norwegian wool, so it's not merino, so you can feel it on your hands. It's a bit dry, but it's really nice for cabling. There's nice friction. I'm also using bamboo needles, and they're actually fixed circulars. These are my favorite type of needles to use because of the amount of friction I get and the control, especially for when I want to maintain even tension for a stitch pattern like this. I really like using the Clover bamboo needles. So once the Sibling sweater is done, then this will be my garment project alongside the Sweet Shop blanket. But yeah, I'm knitting the smallest size, so I'll have like the same amount of ease that PetiteKnit has when she's wearing hers, because I'm roughly the same size as her circumference wise, but I'm taller than her. There. Oh, jeez. How many times, like, has anyone ever dipped their project or yarn in their coffee cup while they're filming? Because I almost did it again. I think this happened in one of my last videos too. Maybe. There you go, coffee cup, you will live there. So that is it for whips. Now let's move on to acquisitions, because these ones are fun. So I mentioned, sorry, I'm trying to reach the box here, that I bought some minis to incorporate into the Sweet Shop blanket, and I purchased from a local to me dyer, Megan at Bramble Ridge. She has an Etsy shop. Information to her shop will be in the description. She's one of the vendors at Knit City again, and she's a vendor that I discovered when I went to Knit City last year. And Knit City's coming up. Knit City's this weekend. I'm very excited. Only days away from spending all my money. But she had a sale on her shop. So of course I browsed it. And she had these DK minis, which were in the colors that I thought would be perfect for Darcy's blanket. I'm going to hold some of these up. Do not judge how these look. These came to me perfectly, like in perfectly packaged, twisted, beautiful mini skeins. But of course, when I had them laid out and trying to take a video for the story that I posted on Instagram, Darcy came running in. I thought she was occupied. She wasn't. She came running in. Like picked up the purple and pink skeins and just was like, ooh. So she was really excited, which for me, like, I was proud, like, she's into it, which makes me even more excited to knit this blanket for her. So yeah, so some of these skeins have been well loved already. So the first pack of mini skeins I got, so these are 20 grams each. And so I think that means I'll get to get to use this color twice in the blanket. There's no like name for this. It was just like set number 1 or something like that. But really nice purple and pinks. This is 85% superwash merino and 15% nylon. And yeah, these are really soft. I mean, Darcy has already been rubbing them on her face. Oh, I should mention that the 220 Superwash Merino, Darcy has more than once, like numerous times, come up to me as I'm knitting it and pet the sweater and saying, "Ooh, so soft, mama, so soft." So yeah, I'm really proud of my daughter for the whole, like, that's like the knitter's hello, right? Like petting each other's sweater when you see someone. So the fact that Darcy's kind of already doing that, I'm a proud mama. And then the other set I got is called Northwoods. I don't know if this is something that Megan will have again in the future, but this color palette is very similar to what we have going on in Darcy's room already. Like, this is like her colors for her room that we decided when we made her room. So also 20 grams each, also the Superwash nylon blend. But look how gorgeous these colors are. Yeah, I really like it. So I am excited for Knit City to purchase more minis. Hopefully, my plan is to buy the rest of the minis or yarn for the blanket at Knit City. I've already made a list of how much yarn I need to buy, whether it's DK or fingering. Ideally, if there's more DK minis, that would be just easier. But of course, if fingering weight will definitely be available, so I will buy fingering weight if I have to, but hopefully I find the right colors. I'm thinking Myrtle yarn, based on what I've been seeing in her stories, has very autumnal vibes going on. So, and I'm pretty sure she does minis. So I will be visiting her booth for sure. I'm not sure if I want to do any variegated or speckled yarns. These are all tonal. Yeah, I'm not sure if I want to do any speckly ones, but we'll see. We'll see what's there. So there's that. For some reason I thought, oh, it's still in a bag. Okay, one sec. I have to grab this yarn. Okay, so even before I cast on my Audrey dress, I've been kind of really into silk yarn, but I didn't want to buy pure silk yarn because of the stretch. So I've been interested in finding some sort of blend that has some silk content. I was making a purchase from Laughing Hens, which is one of my go-to shops. It's in the UK, but it's one of my go-to places to buy and stock up on my Addy needles. I was buying some fixed small circulars, and I noticed this time that they carry some undyed bases from Rooster, and so this is yarns that you could buy for dyeing, for example, but I was digging the natural color. At least what I saw online looked good, and in person I'm very happy with the color that it is. So I found in their undyed bases, this is Premium Silk Sock 4-ply. It's 60% superwash merino, 20% nylon, 20% silk. So not a lot of silk, but some silk. So here it is. It's a really nice natural color. It's very similar to the cream yarn from Cascade. Very similar. This Rooster yarn is a little bit more white than the Cascade yarn. But this is really soft. Really soft. I don't want to rub it on my face because I actually have makeup on. But yeah, it's very nice. So, and I wanted something very soft because my plan is to use this for a next to skin garment, which is Camisole number 7. I think it's 7. It's the one that has a bit of a wider strap, V-neck. I think it's broken rib stitch is the stitch pattern. But yeah, since summer knitting, I want more sleeveless tops. I've got the sleeveless top bug. I know people are talking about knitting up sweaters, and yeah, I do have sweaters in my queue, but I just keep thinking about sleeveless tops. Even though they're fingering weight yarn, but I can make them so much quicker. But yeah, very excited to have this yarn to make that camisole, because I think that camisole is going to be very useful. Dress up, dress down, and hopefully again easy to care for because it's superwash. I've been really enjoying my Camisole number 9, which is in a superwash merino. So yeah, I seem to be adding more and more superwash into my life because I've had some, so far, good experience with it, and great for next to skin garments because, as I said before, yeah, prickliness. I am sensitive to that. So yeah, so Rooster, if you're in the UK, you've probably maybe heard about it. I don't know. Do they have their own website? I don't know. But Laughing Hens is where I purchased from. The shipping to Canada is not bad. It's pretty similar to when you order from Wool Warehouse. I don't know why shipping from the UK to Canada is sometimes it's cheaper than the shipping rates within Canada. So yeah, that is why I order internationally. The last acquisition I want to share is actually something from back in August, but I just keep forgetting that I have it because I purchased it right before Flock, and then I was just all about Flock Fiber Festival. So I shared before that from Sunday Fibre Co. I purchased from the Cottage Garden collection. It was the Cumulus Mohair in the color Lamb's Ear, which is like a silvery pale green. And I bought it because I just thought it was so pretty, and I hadn't really thought about what I was actually going to make with it. And so, but then I was like, oh man, the yarn color was part of a collection. It's not part of her regular offerings. And then she was having a sale, and so she does sell some like happy accident yarns, they're called. Like they may not be perfectly dyed. They might have more variation than she would have liked, so they weren't part of the whole collection, but she still sells them and sells them at a little bit of a discounted rate. So I got very lucky, and she had some lamb's ear colorway in her solstice fingering base. So this is 100% untreated organic merino wool, and she had two, so I bought two. And so this is 800 meters total, which for me is enough to make a Linto sweater. But yeah, I really like this color. It's, yeah, it is tonal. Like I can't imagine what the not happy accidents look like, because this is very nice in my opinion. But yeah, it's very soft. So her solstice fingering is the one that has like more twist to it. She does have another fingering weight yarn, which is less twisted looking. But here is the mohair. So yeah, I don't know how much like tonal variation I'd get out of it, but I'm pretty sure that this yarn is going to become a Linto sweater. Just so I can let the colors of this yarn really shine through. And also, like, I only have 800 meters of it, so I can't really make too much else. Yeah, Sunday Fibre Co. is one of, Elise is one of the booths vendors I'm very excited to go to at Knit City. So yeah, I think that's everything for the podcast episode. So I wanted to quickly chat about Knit City and my plans for Knit City. So Knit City Canada recently announced that they are adding a new location in Calgary, but then that means they are not going to have Knit City in Vancouver in 2024. It's going to be in Calgary, which is kind of sad. And I told my husband this, and to my surprise, he said, oh, well, I guess you're going to go on another trip. And I was like, what? Really? Like, me go to Calgary? He's like, yeah, why not? What? Encouraging me to go on a trip? This is not that he doesn't encourage me, but in that moment when I was telling about it, I thought he was going to go, oh, boo-hoo, you don't have a yarn festival to go to. But no, the complete opposite. So, yeah, so that was nice. Am I going to go to Calgary? I don't know. Well, I have a year to decide, I think. So this might turn into a real like stock up opportunity, because I'm at the point where my stash is large. I mean, for me, it's large. It doesn't all fit in my nice little IKEA cabinet, and I have yarn everywhere, to the point that I forget that about yarn that I have, and I start queuing and about to purchase yarn for something, but I've actually purchased other yarn for that project. So that's a problem. So I might treat this as a stock up opportunity and then try to go as many months as I can without buying yarn, because I do have a large queue with assigned yarn already. I don't necessarily want to say I'm going on like a no buy, like banning myself from purchasing, because if I have to do a gift knit or make something for Darcy, I don't have yarn in my stash, you know, for those kind of knits. I've got yarn in my stash for my garments because I knit primarily for myself, so I'm always planning for my garments. So I may make purchases for gifts, which it may include stuffed animals, some baby sweaters, got some new babies coming in the family, right? So, and Darcy's a growing girl. She needs a new sweater every season. So yeah, I'm happy to spend money on new sweaters for Darcy. So, but for myself, I really want to try to stick to my queue. I've got some really nice projects in my queue, you know, porcelain sweater included, that I would really love to have. Like, I really want that porcelain sweater for like January. Like the colors of it, the like cream and blue, and I got a bright blue, just speak January, February to me. And that could be because of where I grew up in Vernon. There's the winter carnival that happens around that time, and the like theme colors for the winter carnival is like silvery white and like a bright blue. So maybe that's why it's so like ingrained in my mind, why those months mean those colors. Yeah, so I do have, so other than the Sweet Shop blanket, there is something that I kind of like need to look for and need to buy because I didn't find something suitable at Flock Fiber. And that is trying to find a fluffy fiber to go with, to make for the Haley sweater, which is the pattern out of one of the Sandnes Garn booklets. And I've shown this before. Let's show you the good side because I made a mistake in my swatch. But you imagine this all over, quite an oversized crew neck, like high-low hem sweater. But I feel like this kind of design, the stitch pattern, this like overall look of the sweater would really benefit from having a fluffy fiber. Turns out it is hard to find some fluff in this color because this is Cascade 220, the color Camel. But because it runs so golden and there's a lot of browns out there, I didn't find anything that I wanted to spend my money on at Flock. However, Megan, Bramble Ridge, I really like her Sari, and she has a colorway called Sticky Toffee, I believe it is, and it's like a little bit tonal, but it has some golden tones running through it, at least what I saw online, because I've been looking at her shop a lot. So if that matches, I will buy that, unless there's something else from the like many other vendors that are going to be there at Knit City. So that should be my number one mission, is finding the fluff for this sweater, Sweet Shop blanket, and then from Elise at Sunday Fibre Co, I want to buy some of her Fieldling base and probably her drift base too. But the Fieldling base was something that's seasonal, so it's not always in her shop, but it's a silk linen blend, and I want to buy enough for a short sleeve top. Not quite sure exactly which sleeveless top. Did I say sleeveless top? Short sleeve top. But I want to have enough of that in my stash for when I like definitely decide on which one. I'm thinking what is it called now? Irene Lin. Oh, this is gonna bug me. Bear with me a moment. I have a list on my phone ready to go when I go to Knit City on Saturday of the like knits, the projects that I'm thinking of, and then also my garment quantities. The Faye Summer Top by Irene Lin. It's not really my typical style, but summer is a time where I'm more experimental with style, and I just keep looking at it like it looks so pretty. It's a lot more, I'd say girly than my typical style. But I will buy enough yarn for that. And if it turns out I'm not making that, then it's enough yarn for a different short sleeve top. But yeah, my list here, I wrote like a sleeveless top, this many grams of fingering, short sleeve. I put in my Audrey dress yarn amount in here in case something screams to me like another knit dress. A long sleeve top with lots of ease, a fitted long sleeve, sweater like for worsted weight, the amount of suri I would need for a sweater, and a shawl. Not that I need a shawl, but I realize that, so if I were to go out for a nice dinner and wear, say, my Audrey dress, what do you wear over top of that? What if you're like a really nice restaurant? I don't know if like my really woolly like cardigan would match, or like be elegant enough, like dress formal enough. There we go, there's the word. Whether it'd be formal enough. Yeah, so I think like adding a shawl, just one, and hopefully a versatile color. Yeah, so though that's my plan for Knit City. Wow, I've been sitting here recording a long time. I just remembered there's another acquisition that I forgot to share, that I should share. Okay, bear with me. See, guys, perfect example of what happens when your stash is in multiple places. Okay, thanks for hanging out with me this long, guys. I guess yeah. This is the last thing I am sharing for today's episode. September 1st, Tony Lipsy, collaboration with Hobbii, Happy Place yarn. Yes, I got some. If you follow me on Instagram and look at my stories, then you already know. But for those of you who don't, I purchased a sweater quantity in 2 colors of each color. Yes, so I have 600 grams of this color, 600 grams of this color. So this one here is called Sand, and it's from the Melange line. Is that upside down? Yeah, that's upside down. Sorry, guys. So the Melange one, it looks like marling. So the wool, so this is a 50-50 blend of wool and cotton. The wool gets dyed, but then the cotton not so much. So it looks like it's marled. And then the brownish color is cinnamon. And I decided I liked the Melange colors just because what I plan on making are like cozy, like everyday crew neck sweaters. I think heathering, the marling kind of lends itself to the casualness of what I want to create. So the Sand, I'm going to use, I haven't purchased it yet, but my favorite thing is knitwear. So she has that T number 1 that has almost looks like a saddle shoulder. And then there's a sweater that has lots of ease with that same shoulder. I don't know the sweater number. I'll put it here. But that is what I want to make out of this yarn. And I think the wool cotton will be a nice wearable everyday fiber because it's not always that cold here in Vancouver, especially indoors. So if I'm just hanging around at home, I would love to have another cozy crew neck sweater because I don't really have any, especially with that shoulder detail. And so that is what the Sand yarn will be. The cinnamon, depending on whether I really like that My Favorite Things knitwear pattern or not, might make a second one. Not sure, but I really wanted to add some more brown to my wardrobe. So there we go. Happy Place by Tony Lipsy and Hobbii. So I ordered enough from Hobbii that I had free shipping, but I ordered not just these though. I ordered other items, so it was like well over $100 that I spent. I did receive a further discount on this yarn because I was on Tony's mailing list. So there was a code from her. So I think Hobbii is offering these with a 20% discount right now. But the code from Tony let me get more than that. So it was like definitely beneficial to be on her list. I don't know if that code still works, but maybe double check. Sign up for her list or something. But it works out to be, it was like just under $60 US for each sweater quantities. And what is that in Canadian? It's probably closer to $80 or something like that. So not terrible price, considering it's going to be like a full sweater. All right. Balls are falling. Yeah, that started to fall apart a little bit at the end there. Yeah, I gotta pick that up before I like trip and step on it or something. All right, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me for this month's podcast episode for September. I will be back next week to share with you my haul from Knit City, which is just in a few days from now. And it will be officially fall the next time I sit down to film, so that'll be exciting. So thanks again, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, happy knitting. Bye.